Her name was Tochi. She was a simple woman, born and raised in a small village where life moved at its own slow rhythm. I remember the day she got married to Tomi, a man who was known for his charm and good looks. Everyone in the village thought they were the perfect match. Tochi was beautiful, kind-hearted, and Tomi was admired by many, but sometimes, things aren't as they appear on the surface. Tochi had been married for just over a year when she gave birth to their daughter, Chichi. I watched the joy in her eyes when she cradled her baby, but that joy never found its way to Tomi. He looked at Chichi with coldness, his eyes betraying the bitterness in his heart. At first, we thought it was just the pressure of becoming a father, but over time, it became clear that something much darker was brewing. Tomi started to change. He became distant, spending less time at home, and when he did come home, it was only to scowl at Tochi or criticize her. His words were sharp, like the edge of a knife, cutting into her spirit. I often saw her walking to the market with Chichi strapped to her back, her face a mask of sadness. She tried to hide it, but the village noticed. We all noticed. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the hills, casting an orange glow over the village, I saw something that made my heart ache for Tochi. Tomi came home in a fit of rage, yelling at her for something as small as the food being too cold. He pushed her, and she stumbled, barely catching herself before she hit the floor. Chichi, barely a year old, started to cry, but Tomi stormed out, slamming the door behind him without a care. The next few months were like a nightmare. Tomi's hatred for Tochi seemed to grow with each passing day. He blamed her for everything, for the child, for his failures, for the things that went wrong in his life. Tochi was patient, though. She held on, hoping that he would change, that he would remember the love they once shared. But that love, if it ever existed, had long since withered away. One day, something happened that would change everything. Tomi didn't come home. Tochi waited, her heart heavy with worry. But he didn't return that night or the next. Weeks passed, and still, there was no sign of him. People in the village whispered that he had left for good, abandoning his wife and child. Tochi's world fell apart. She was left alone to care for Chichi, with no money, no support, and no idea where to turn. It was around this time that I met Oti. He was new to the village, having come from the city to visit his uncle. Oti was different from the men in our village. He had a quiet strength about him, a kindness that was rare. He noticed Tochi too. I remember the way his eyes softened when he saw her struggling to carry Chichi while trying to balance a basket of food on her head. One afternoon, I saw him approach her at the market. "Let me help you with that," he said, taking the basket from her hands before she could protest. Tochi looked at him, startled. But there was something about Oti's smile that made her relax. From that day on, he was always around, offering to help with small things, making sure Tochi had everything she needed. He even started spending time with Chichi, who had grown fond of him in no time. But it wasn't long before the whisper started. The villagers talked about how it was inappropriate for a married woman to be so close to another man, even if her husband had abandoned her. Tochi tried to keep her distance, but Oti was persistent. He wasn't like Tomi. He genuinely cared for her. He saw the pain in her eyes, the exhaustion in her movements, and he wanted to take it all away. One evening, as the sky darkened and the stars began to appear, Oti came to Tochi's house. I was there, sitting by the fire, watching Chichi play with some old toys. Oti looked at Tochi with an intensity I hadn't seen before. "You deserve better than this," he said softly. "You don't have to keep suffering." Tochi's eyes filled with tears. "I'm still married," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if Tomi comes back?" Oti shook his head. "Do you really believe he will? And even if he does, do you want to live the rest of your life waiting for a man who doesn't love you?" Tochi was silent for a long time. I could see the struggle in her face, the war between her heart and her sense of duty. But finally, she spoke. "I don't want to live like this anymore," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm tired." That was the beginning of their relationship. It wasn't easy at first. The village gossiped, and some people judged her harshly, saying she had moved on too quickly. But I saw how much happier Tochi became. Oti treated her with respect, something Tomi never did. He loved Chichi like she was his own daughter, and the three of them started to feel like a real family. But life, as it often does, took a dark turn again. One day, out of the blue, Tomi returned. He walked into the village like nothing had happened, like he hadn't abandoned his family for over a year. When he saw Tochi with Oti, his anger boiled over. He stormed to her house that night, banging on the door, demanding to see his wife. Tochi was terrified. She hadn't seen Tomi in so long, and the sight of him filled her with dread. Oti tried to calm him down, but Tomi wasn't having it. "You think you can take my wife?" he spat, his face twisted with rage. "She's mine." Oti stood his ground, his voice calm but firm. "She's not your property. Tomi, you left her. You don't get to come back and act like you care now." Tomi lunged at Oti, and the two men fought. It was brutal, and for a moment, I feared the worst. But Oti was stronger, and eventually, he overpowered Tomi, pinning him to the ground. "Leave," Oti said, his voice low and dangerous. "If you ever come near Tochi or Chichi again, I won't be so kind." Tomi, humiliated and defeated, left the village that night. No one ever saw him again. Tochi and Oti got married a few months later. It was a simple ceremony, nothing like the grand wedding she had with Tomi, but this time, she was happy, truly happy. They built a life together, raising Chichi in a home filled with love and laughter. As the years passed, I watched Tochi flourish. She became the woman she was always meant to be, strong and full of life. And Oti, he was the man who gave her the happiness she deserved. Together, they lived a life of peace, free from the shadows of the past. And that, my friend, is the story of how Tochi found her way out of the darkness and into the light. A story of survival, of hope, and of love that triumphs even in the face of despair.